Nobody on their deathbed wishes they worked more. Beanie Siegel said it best. I never seen a Brinks truck following a hearse.
Tell me more.
Welcome to Tell Me More with me, CJ Quattlebaum. Tell Me More exists to help us figure out some of the harder things in life. We connect with and educate Gen Z. We talk about leadership and preparing for the future. And so today, we're going to continue down this path of preparing for the future by, as you can guess it from looking at the title, we're going to talk about the things that people regret when they die. So do me a favor. I feel like we've been together long enough that we maybe trust each other a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. No, I'm not going to run up behind you and spook you in this moment, but for real, close your eyes. And I know this might feel a little bit morbid, but give it a try. Imagine you're on your deathbed. What do you see? Who's there? What are you thinking about? Okay, open your eyes. Some of us don't think about death enough. We live as though we're going to live forever, or as though death is not on the horizon. And some of us think about death too much. It occupies way too much of our time and our thoughts. It's the anxiety that looms in the back of our minds, like this could be it at any moment. But I want us to consider something. If you've made it to the age of 35, if you make it to life expectancy, you have about 17,000 days left. 17,000 doesn't seem like a lot. And if you hear that and it feels a bit sobering, that's because it is. Life is long, but at the same time, it is so short. So in her book, 5 Regrets of the Dying, Bronnie Ware, after decades in palliative care, decided that as she has spent much of her career ushering people through the final stages of life, she started to collect data, started to ask people, started to talk to them as they're dying and on their deathbeds, what are the biggest regrets? And so I'm going to share those 5 with you today. The first one, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I encounter this one a lot. See, as a professor in an honors college, what I deal with often are students who are pre-med majors, they're pre-law majors, they're going to be engineers, they're computer science majors, and I wonder for how many of them, how many of you wanted to just be teachers? And I don't say just be a teacher as like a pejorative, but you don't want to be an engineer. You don't want to be a doctor. You don't want to be a lawyer. You have this heart and passion for second graders, but you can't pursue that. How many world-class artists are we missing out on because they've been told that they have to slot into one of these 3 buckets? And I watch these students walk around, never really having had the ability to dream because they've been told that they fit into one of these boxes and that's it. And I get it. For a lot of these students of mine, they're the children of immigrants. Immigrants who left their countries to move to this country to have a better life for them and for their kids. And so they have these parents who are well-meaning and simply want the best for them. And so they tell them to pursue these careers that traditionally have been successes, surefire successes, that if you did one of these things, you were guaranteed to make money and amass wealth and live a quote unquote good life. Never mind that here today where we sit, that's not always the case. And I empathize with these parents. I'm the child of an immigrant. I wanted to be a journalism major, but my mother didn't want me to struggle. She knew that the life of a writer is a difficult one. She said, you got to do something that makes money. And so I imagine that for a lot of these kids, their parents look at them and they say, we don't want you to struggle. We don't want you to experience hardship. And so this is the life that we want you to live. And what I say to my students is I totally understand, but this is your life to live. And you ultimately have to be the one to make those decisions for yourself. You have to be the one that decides, is my 40-year working career going to be spent doing this thing that I don't want to do, that I don't enjoy or have a passion for or even like? Remember what we talked about a few weeks ago, that if you don't plan your life, one will be assigned to you. So what I say to my students is chase the dream. Do the thing you want to do. And if it doesn't work, then go do the life that was assigned for you. But what you don't want is to be one of those people on your deathbed saying, man, I wish I had given it a try. I wish that I had pursued a life that was true to who I am, rather than the life that everyone else wanted me to live, rather than being who people wanted me to be. I at least gave it a shot. The second regret, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I see, this is a hard one. The vision we've been sold is you go to college, you work till you're 65. You sacrifice nights, you sacrifice weekends, you climb the corporate ladder, you miss events, you miss games, you miss plays, you miss birthday parties, you miss friend celebrations, all so that you can amass your kingdom. The problem is, you work till you're 65, life expectancy is 77, we are sicker than we've ever been, so the dream we've been sold is work until you're 65, miss everything, and then spend those last dozen years back and forth to the doctor. Maybe now you can take the trip. Maybe now you can take the vacation, but you can't do some of the things you've wanted to do because your body is no longer capable. That sucks. That's not the life I want for me. It's not the life that I want for my kids. That is the life you have to look and ask, is it worth it? Nobody on their deathbed ever wishes they worked more. Beanie Siegel said it best. I never seen a Brinks truck following a hearse. What do you want? When you look back, you're not going to wish you did more reports or put in more time. And if we're honest, this job that we're often killing ourselves for replaces us in a heartbeat, but we can't replace family. We can't replace the friendships. We can't replace the time that is missed, the love that is lost. So my advice to you today, work is what you do. It is not who you are. It is not your identity. It is not your everything. It is not worth more than your health. How many people spend hours and hours, 40, 50, 60 hours a week at their jobs while their health is in decline? Don't do it. Don't live with this regret. Regret number 3. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. In his book, The Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk talks about how our bodies store up trauma. How those unexpressed feelings, those unrealized things that are living inside of us, they come out in some way. Whether it be destructive behavior or it be sickness. This is what happens. Because we're storing everything in. Life is too short for you not to say what is going on in here and in here. Because storing up all of that frustration and all of that pain and all of that trauma, it's not good for you. I'm going to encourage you today to speak your heart. And you can do that without being a jerk. You can say what you're feeling. You can have the hard and honest conversation without being mean, without being passive aggressive, without attacking. Now, I think this might be simpler for me than it is for other people. And the reason for that is I come from a people who are really honest, like brutally honest. We say what is on our hearts and what's on our mind. And it's not that we're trying to be mean or hurt you. We're just saying the thing. Now, I do think we could maybe learn a little something about tact and grace and all that stuff, but that's another conversation. But this idea that we're never going to express our feelings, that we're just going to keep burying it and pushing it down. I cannot tell you the amount of people that I counsel who are going through really hard things, things that could probably be solved with a couple of conversations, who won't have them. They just can't do it. But I'm watching them stress out. I'm watching them be anxious. I'm watching them spiral. Have the conversations. Express your feelings. Your body's keeping score. Regret number 4. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. We are made, we are wired, we are built for community. I've seen so many people sacrifice lifelong friendships and relationships at the altar of work and at the altar of their marriages, and they just let them go. But we're built for a community. A part of how we get through this life is through deep and meaningful relationships. There's a reason why in prison that solitary confinement, sticking someone by themselves, just alone, is considered the most cruel form of punishment, because there's something that happens in our heads and in our hearts, that in our souls, that tells us this is not good. We start eating at ourselves. We go nuts because we were made for community. We were made to lock arms with people, to be in real relationships. If you look at the areas in the world where people live the longest, and you start to chart some of the commonalities between those areas, one of the things you see is a deep commitment to community. A deep commitment to friendship. It's the 3-hour dinners. It's the people that you can call at 2 a.m. I'm reminded of a story of this guy who, in deep grief, was ready to end it all. And he calls his best friends. They all kind of lived in this community together. And he says, hey, things are going real bad right now. I need you. And within 4 minutes, 3 of his friends were at his front door as he is weeping, and they're holding him. And he said, in that moment, I made a decision. I will never live more than 5 minutes for my closest friends, because 5 minutes could be the difference between life and death. Real friendship, real community, real love. It's the people we can call at 2 a.m. It is I am in a life or death situation and I need my friend to show up. It is those people. That's who we call. That's who we're looking for. That's who we want to be for others. And that's how we want to show up in this world. But when we spend our lives just building more and chasing more and making our circle, now understand that as we get older and responsibilities progress and we have more and more on our plates, that the circle tightens, because you don't have the same time that you did when you were 18. But the complete cutoff, it's not good for us. Love your family, love them well, but they can't be your only people. And if you're single, I'm going to press this on you even more, that the way we get through this life is with deep friendships. Don't fall into the trap of isolation. In this deeply connected world that we have now, where we find ourselves more lonely than we have ever been, pursue friendship. Deep, real friendship. You don't need 700 people in your life. But do you have 5? 5 friends that you can call with regularity, that you can see regularly, that you can have face-to-face time with, that you can be honest and open and vulnerable with. Whatever's going on in your life, wherever you find yourself, don't lose the friendships, because they matter for us. Regret number 5. I wish I had let myself be happier. You watching this video right now, what's holding you back from happiness? Think about it. What are you missing? What is that one thing that if you just had it in your life, you would experience the happiness that you are looking for? So this is the one that I'm going to push back on. This is the one that I'm going to say, what if instead of pursuing happiness, we pursue joy? Now, this isn't merely semantics, right? Happiness is tied to your circumstances. Happiness is tied to the here and the now. It is tied to the moment. But joy Joy is deep and abiding and everlasting. Joy transcends the circumstance. Joy can exist in the midst of pain, in the midst of suffering, in the midst of trials and tribulations, in the midst of temptation, in the midst of your world falling apart. You can still experience joy. But happiness is often a never-ending pursuit of thinking to ourselves that if I can just get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, then I will be where and who I want to be. In his book, How to Sell Out, Chad Sanders talks about the money lie, where he said to himself that if I can just get a little bit more money and then maybe a little bit more and then a little bit more, then I will be able to buy my happiness, to buy my freedom. And he realized it just doesn't work like that. I personally know millionaires and tens of millionaires who are unhappy. Happiness is a never-ending pursuit. And I want us to be happy. Right? That's not a bad thing. But I also want us to experience joy. Joy that transcends ourselves. Joy that recognizes that there is something or someone bigger than us out there. Now, where you find that transcendence is on you. For me, I would say I find my transcendence in God, right? I believe that because my hope and my faith, my life is tied to God, then my happiness, or I say my joy, is deeply rooted. Now, I don't know what the answer is for you. It might be the universe. It might be something else. And wherever it is you land, you have to figure that out. Is where am I rooting my joy? And is the place that I have chosen to root my joy a place that does not move? A place that is rock solid? Because life is going to throw a lot of things at you. One guy I knew described it this way. You're either going through something, you're just coming out of something, or you're about to go into something. I think if you're over the age of 25, you feel that in your soul. And if that's true, if it's true, that this is just life is just hard. There is no the better day. There is no, when things slow down. This is just life. And I don't know what you're going through, but I guarantee that if you emailed me or called me, we could have a good conversation trading war stories. So if this is life, then what can you do? Who can you be to survive these moments? How does joy carry you through each day of what is often a hard existence? And when you anchor yourself into some sort of joy, the happiness will follow. But there's going to be plenty of moments that take away your happiness. But the joy can be everlasting. My mom just retired after almost 30 years as a hospice nurse. For nearly 30 years, she's walked people through death. And she would come home and tell us these stories about these people who died alone. No friends, no family, no children, no grandchildren. That they spent their lives building and building and building. And they had spouses, they had kids. But by the end, they didn't want to be with them. They alienated everyone. They died alone. My mom was the only person in the room for the death of far too many people. Those people who look back on their lives and in those final days would say to her, I wish I had reconciled with that person. I wish I didn't ruin that friendship. I wish I could just get my kids to talk to me one last time. What is life about for you? If it's merely about the attainment of things and the pursuit of more stuff, you're going to find that is a dead end. But maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, CJ, I hear you. But my life is about the attainment of things. It is about building my little kingdom. And I got to go get it. And I say to you, all right, I'm trying to change my life. I'm trying to die without these regrets. I want a life that is well lived. But what do I know? I'm just some guy from Brooklyn.